I absolutely love whiskey, and I have found some of my favorite ways to cook with whiskey. And so today, I'm gonna be pairing 4 very different whiskeys with 4 very different dishes to show you guys how you pair specific whiskeys with grilling and barbecue food. You can do this at home using your favorite whiskeys, but today I'm using mine, and those are all 4 from Pendleton. Let's dive in. For the first recipe, we're gonna be cooking with Pendleton Original. This is the classic. What we're gonna be making is some honey Cajun surf and turf. I have this beautiful cowboy steak. Technically, it's just a tomahawk, but it has like the tiny little bone. We have some pretty decent looking shrimp. We're gonna grill them up. Well, actually, we're gonna cook the shrimp in cast iron, but same. Add a little bit of neutral oil, and then I'm gonna be seasoning up with one of my great friends, Tone TFTI Barbecue, his honey Cajun rub. Now, let's season up the scrimp. We're using the same seasoning. Now, we got our fire grill ripping hot. Let's add these guys on. Fire is at like a medium high heat. This is a pretty fatty cut, so I don't want to cook it super duper hot. It does have a little bit of sugar in it, so we want to be careful about burning. Add it on. So the steak is basically done. We're gonna pull it off, let it rest, and then we're gonna cook up our shrimp and work on some honey Cajun butter. All right, let's cook our shrimp for our honey Cajun surf and turf. Got a little bit of oil adding into our cast iron skillet. I'm gonna let that heat up for a second. Nothing better than a shrimp blob. Beautiful. Thank you, Gordon Ramsay. Honestly, these are probably done. It blows my mind how fast shrimp take to cook. All right, so steak's done, resting, shrimp is off. Let's work on this butter. So I have a small cast iron skillet, drop in some butter, drop in some honey. We have some Cajun seasoning and Pendleton, the classic. It works so well with steak. Gonna add in just a touch. 2 shots of vodka. Let everything melt and bring it all together. Let's go and get our steak and shrimp on so we can pour this over the top. Now, the fun part. We have our steak, it's rested. We have our shrimp. We're gonna pour the butter over the top. Oh my gosh, dude. That butter and steak and shrimp, that looks insane. Let's try out the Pendleton Original first. Clean, easy, that is a classic, absolute classic. And pairs really well with steak and shrimp, which is also a classic. Let's slice into the steak. Let's try it out. That is insane. Tender, the honey, the Cajun just works so well. Adding that Pendleton just adds a deep richness and flavor profile to it that just works really well with the steak. Overall, 10 out of 10. This is incredible. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's move on to some of my other favorites. Next, let's cook some lobster tail. I'm gonna be making an insane brown butter using Pendleton Midnight. This stuff rocks. 90 proof, aged in brandy barrels. It is super delicious and goes very well with some smoked lobster tail. Now for this lobster tail, I'm gonna be seasoning them up with my cowboy butter, and then we're gonna be adding onto the smoker. All right, so now we're gonna make a brown butter with some herbs to add on top of our lobster. So I have cast iron skillet, add that guy on. Then I have some brown butter, some parsley, some herbs, rosemary, thyme, and then some Pendleton Midnight. Just a little bit. We're gonna let that simmer for a second. So we have the butter simmering here for a second. I'm gonna grab the lobster tails. We're gonna add that butter on top. It smells incredible. Now we try. Let's try the Pendleton first. Try it with the lobster tail. Dive in. It has this like smooth richness to it. That's just a good whiskey. It has that classic kind of like warmth right at the end that Pendleton always gives you. This could work with a lot of things, especially fall and winter recipes. Holiday, this would work really well with like prime rib or something like that. But I also think it works really well with like a seafood that has like a darker flavor with that browned butter. Let's try out the lobster. The smokiness, the herbs, the brown butter, the Pendleton Midnight, it all really works together. Honestly, this is one of the best lobster tails I've ever had. let's keep cooking. We have some beef plate ribs and some pork ribs. So I'm gonna start by cooking these guys. I have to season them up. There's nothing better to use than my own seasoning. So let's start with that. With the beef ribs, I'm gonna add a little bit of oil. So I am seasoning these guys up with my mesquite peppercorn rub. It's gonna have like this nice peppercorny flavor that I think is just gonna pair really well with some of the Pendleton whiskey. I have this guy fully seasoned up. I have my smoker going at 250. I'm gonna throw him on. He's gonna take about 6 to 8 hours to actually cook. So let's get him on. Now, we're gonna make some smoked party ribs. We need some beautiful pork ribs. I'm gonna be splitting these guys out into single rib cutlets. This works really well with whiskey, especially when we come in for the crutch. All right, so I'm gonna lay these out. So I like to leave just maybe like, I don't know, 1/2 inch, maybe even 1/4 inch in between all of these guys. For this, I'm gonna be using my cowboy candy rub. This is sweet jalapeno. And it's gonna work really well smoked. Other rubs that you can use for this, feel free to use your favorite barbecue rub. I have some pretty awesome barbecue rubs out there. I have my Big Bad Barbecue. That would work really well with these. Cowboy candy is really, really good. So I highly recommend using it for pork. The link is in the description below. All right, now place these guys in the smoker. We're gonna cook them for about 2 hours before we add them into a foil bin. Let's do it. Now, these pork ribs have been on for a little over 2 hours. They have a beautiful crust. We're gonna crutch them. Oh no, we lost one. Don't show that. We have a little bit of butter. We have some brown sugar, some Vermont maple syrup, and then Pendleton 1910 bourbon. We're making some maple bourbon pork ribs. Now I'm gonna cover these guys, make sure it's nice and tight, back onto the smoker. All right, so these party ribs have been on the smoker for about almost a little over an hour. Let's pull these guys off, pour up some of our Pendleton bourbon, dive in. Oh, dude, those look incredible. These smell insane. All right, like always, we're gonna try the whiskey first. Some beautiful Pendleton bourbon. This guy is a 10-year age. This is one of my absolute favorites by them. Honestly, it kind of tastes like how this smells. Like mapley, brown sugar, no smoke, but definitely this like richness that is just, this is one of my favorites by Pendleton. Highly, highly recommend this one. Let's try the ribs. Bro, that is incredible. Rich, mapley, bourbony, absolutely 10 out of 10. I have a recipe on how to make ribs just like this on my website, so go and check that out. Let's move on to the next one. Look at this bad boy. This guy's insane. All right, let's slice him up. Are y'all ready for this? Are you ready for this? Look at this. Dude, that's insane. Like just tender, feels like I could just squeeze this and it'll fall apart. That's incredible. Now, let's take it up a notch. Let's try it with the Pendleton Rye. So I paired this guy up with the Pendleton 1910 Rye. Let's give this a little taste test. It just has this like robustness to it that rye is one of my absolute favorites. The Pendleton Rye is incredible as well. It really, really works well with things that are extremely fatty. It cuts through that fat, which is what we got here with this beef rib. What makes it so good in pairing with a beef rib? Let me show you. We made some pickled red onion with mustard seed, adding in some of the Pendleton 1910 Rye into our brine. We're gonna pair this up with the beef rib because that vinegar and the onion and the Pendleton Rye is gonna cut through all of that fat and just make it so freaking delicious. That's so good. Cuts right through all that fat, complements the beef. You know, beef rib, very, very fatty, but this works so well because it cuts through all of it, adds in just an extra crispy, fresh crunch on top of that really hearty, fatty beef rib. Adding in that Pendleton Rye just takes this to a 10 out of 10. Highly, highly recommend. And there you have it. These are my favorite Pendleton whiskeys, and I paired them with some of my favorite dishes as well. So got the first one. This is the Pendleton Original. This guy is an absolute classic. You can drink it by itself or in a mixed drink, and honestly, it pairs really well with that surf and turf that we made earlier. Highly, highly recommend this one. Next, we have the Pendleton Midnight. This is honestly just almost the original, aged in brandy barrels. You can see the color difference and just how much darker this one is. And honestly, it works so well with just about everything, just like the original. All I want is a campfire, sitting next to it, sipping on some Pendleton Midnight. That sounds like a great evening. Next, we have the Pendleton 1910 Rye. This guy is robust. It has a very strong, earthy flavor. Gotta love rye, man. And this paired so well with that juicy smoked beef rib. And last but certainly not least, Pendleton 1910 Bourbon. If you love bourbon, this is the one for you. Rich, caramelly, and it paired so well with those maple bourbon smoked party ribs. Drink this on the rocks, neat, any way you want to, because this one is so freaking delicious. But at the end of the day, honestly, all you really need is some good steak or just any cut of meat that you cook over the fire with some Pendleton whiskey, and you're in for a treat. You can go and find out how you can grab these guys by clicking the link in the description. Go and check out my grill, my seasonings, my sauces, and as always, stay so freaking delicious. Cheers. Today we're eating whiskey. Let's slate. Ready for this? Is that better?